Casey's Audio Vault.
Matthew Good, October 31st, 2011. Where are we catching you today?
I'm in Toronto.
Are you dressing up as anything? Happy Halloween?
Oh, it's a day off, man. No. I'm in my pajamas, just basically sitting here trying to do as little as possible.
You have a baby boy now. Do you know what's happening back at home? Is there going to be a first costume?
Oh, yeah. I think he's being dressed up as a pumpkin. But I'm not sure how it's going to go. We live in a very rural area. So neighbors are pretty far away. I'm sure my wife will probably take the kids out to a couple places. But
pumpkins, that's a good first. It's a good easy one for a baby.
Yeah. I think it's every kid's, like my daughter was a pumpkin, on for her first Halloween. It's kind of the easiest thing to throw like a little bundle into. Just the pumpkin.
Do you have a memorable costume from your childhood?
Oh, I don't remember really, to be honest with you. There's all the usual things in the era I grew up in. Everybody dressed up as guests or soldiers or...
Not Batman or Spider-Man?
No. Well, we didn't have a lot of money, so we kind of had to come up with stuff we could kind of get around, like work around, kind of, there was a lot of going out as like one of the things, because we had, a lot of kids in the neighborhood play baseball. So, the Baseball Furies or whatever from the movie The Warriors.
Right.
That was a hot costume for a few years there.
And then you could terrorize the other gangs in the neighborhood.
Exactly.
So did you buy your first house? You said you're out in sort of rural neighborhood. I had read somewhere that this is your first owning of a house.
It is, yeah.
How was that experience?
I don't know. I haven't been there yet.
It's that new?
My wife moved in a couple weeks after I left. The onus on it was getting something with property, because I own horses, right? So I had to get something with a stable and some facilities for that. So that pretty much dictated what I was going to do. And plus, I spent 20 years living downtown. The whole kind of urban experience, I'm kind of over it, really. So
get some solitude.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice and it's peaceful. So
do you have to fill it up with everything, or is that up to the wife while you're on tour?
Oh no, we had furniture from before. You got kids and animals. You kind of not gonna go. We're not gonna go out and spend X amount of dollars on new furniture, and it's just gonna get trashed. Keep the usual.
When you were a kid, were you one that went through the parents' record collection? You sit cross-legged, get the headphones, and dig through?
Oh, yeah. My parents' record collection was very eclectic. My father listened to a lot of big band, and through him, at a very, very young age, of course, I was exposed to Simon and Garfunkel. My mother listened to a lot of singer-songwriters, and then both of them heavily listened to classical music. So in our house, there was a great deal of classical being played at all times. So
when you were getting into rock music, were they kind of hoping you might go in a little different direction?
Oh, not at all. Not at all. I mean, my aunt, who's just a couple of years younger than my mom, I mean, she... I remember one year for Christmas, she was cleaning out her record collection, and she was giving, me and my brother were given, first original, Hendrix vinyl, and I remember what did I get? Soft Parade, I guess, The Doors. We grew up in an era, when I was when I was fairly young, in an era where it was, I remember very kind of, it's one of those memories you have from childhood. I remember everyone coming home from Led Zeppelin, the last show that they did in Vancouver, and everyone wearing those blue T-shirts with it's not an angel, they know that figure, the Led Zeppelin figure that's with the wings, the guy. So I remember everyone coming home wearing those, and we were utterly jealous, of course. you're like 8 or 9 years old and you're just totally jealous that everyone's got one. So, but, you know, I mean, you kind of, what everyone listened to in the neighborhood kind of dictated what you got into. And then subsequently after that, in those years, it branches out. I mean, where I grew up, it was a hotbed of hardcore music, right? At that time in the 80s, Vancouver's often not really recognized for its prominence in that scene, but it was very prominent. The Dead Kennedys basically like held residence in Vancouver at times when I was younger as a teenager and stuff. And I think I saw the Dead Kennedys play 8 or 9 times probably in Vancouver alone. So, you know, we had that, and you know, a lot of people were attracted to that, and you know, that leads, you know, to a whole bunch of other things, right? I mean, you're exposed to everything from Husker Du to the Clash to, you know, the Replacements and back. So,
has Vancouver gone along the same sort of trend, I guess, where they're closing a lot of venues? I remember hearing a lot about it over the past couple of years.
Oh, they did that a decade ago. They did that. I mean, yeah, no. I mean, all the main venues or bands, you know, back, you know, when I was coming up, all the venues that, I mean, we used to have, like, you know, you could go one out at night to the town pump where everyone who was a musician in town, you know, conglomerated. You could go from there to a handful of like 5 or 6 different clubs and see different bands play. And they're all gone. I mean, it's not like the Commodore, you know, it's they don't have, you know, like local band night anymore. I mean, the Commodore books acts, right? That, you know, they book shows, and it's not like that anymore. There are a few small clubs, I guess, because I've been detached from it for quite a while, obviously, but from what I understand, there are a few really small places still around. But, you know, nothing like what the Town Pump was or the Hungry Eye or anything like that.
Your theater tour has taken you to some historic venues. Has it been kind of cool? Have you been poking around backstage or in the dingy basements or anything?
Not really. I mean, most of the theaters I'm playing on this tour I've played before. So I prefer playing theaters. So you go into a lot of different places and, you know, you get to look around, that kind of thing. It kind of depends, right? You're working, so most of your days fill up with doing stuff. So you don't really have, I don't have a lot of free time. My major concern mostly with venues is if they have showers.
Have you been to the basement at Burton Cummings or the old Walker?
Yeah, the Walkers. Yeah, I mean it's you know, it's got history, but it's, you know, it's older. It's pretty. It's, you know, it's dingy. So
yeah, I think a horror movie could be filmed in that basement pretty easily.
Probably, yeah.
So on the new album, people saying a wider variety of instruments. Maybe you're getting this question every time you're talking to one of us. But did you have these sounds in mind as you were writing the songs, or did they come in more as an afterthought?
Oh no, I wrote them. I wrote the songs with them in mind. You know? Yeah, they were part of the process from the very beginning.
Have you been able to incorporate it as part of the stage show?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not traveling with horns or anything. Like, you know, that would require a whole other bus and a whole bunch of players. So, you know, for those parts we're getting by, we found alternatives. But so all the new material, as far as I'm concerned, I'm elated. I think it's translating far better than I thought it would. So
there's a bit of reworking.
Yeah, tiny bit. Yeah.
Are you playing like 7 or 8 songs off the new one?
Yeah, usually about 7 a night. Yeah, quite enjoy it.
Where do you do your writing? Are you sitting in your den?
Yeah, I write at home. I have an office. I just use my computer to record. So I record everything, right, from all the instruments and, you know, drums, everything. When I go into, ever since Avalanche, I go into a studio, I have songs completed, like all the parts played and written and everything. So if I bring somebody in, you know, like I brought my last guitar player, Stu Cameron, I brought him in to play some lead guitar and some songs. But he basically was just doing what I did on the demo, right? I just wanted someone with like a different feel playing the part. But, you know, for the most part, when I go in and, you know, make a record, I have it completely done.
Sitting at the computer, do you have a keyboard, or you have a cup of coffee? You have your guitar?
I have, a whack of guitars, a bass, a keyboard, and, a lot of coffee. And, I just kind of go to work.
This is nearly, I guess, half a year later. Did you see today that finally the first charges are being laid for the Vancouver Stanley Cup riots?
No, I don't, to tell you the truth, I really don't care. I just, the whole thing is just, to me, embarrassing and ridiculous. Given what's going on in the world and other places, the fact that even happened, just, I don't know. It's just an embarrassment, really. You're gonna single out, what are they charging people with, like lighting stuff on fire?
Pretty much. They said at least 2 charges per, and I think they've got 40 charges set.
What level of felony?
They're probably not going to spend more than a month behind bars. It's going to be a slap on the wrist.
So basically, we're wasting all of this time for an example, right? Like in court of law, so we can feel good about the fact that we, did something about it. I guess, I don't know. It's sometimes a hard pill to swallow when you live in a province with the highest child poverty rate in the country.
Were you in the city at that time?
I lived in the suburbs when it happened that night. I mean, I was right down. I was right in the downtown. I wasn't amongst the people. I walked through the crowd, but was in '94, tear gas rolled like in through my windows. I saw it all happen then, and I was talking to my best friend because both of us, were downtown in '94 when it happened then, and both of us have since moved to just outside of town, and we basically just said, well, if they lose, if they win, there will probably be one, but if they lose, there will be. Someone will do something, right? And the thing about it is, you have to remember, between '94 and now, the population of the downtown core has increased a great deal, right? Like the amount of residencies in downtown Vancouver has increased quite a bit. So there's a lot more people living in the downtown core. Of course, most of them will say that it was people from the suburbs. And, of course, there probably was a lot of people from the suburbs. But, don't tell me that, all those people that are kind of part of the, the party circuit, types that live downtown and go out every, 3 or 4 nights a week or whatever, they weren't on the streets, too. Whether they were just standing back taking pictures with their cell phones or whatever. I mean, I don't really know. But I mean, I don't know. Like, you're going to start in a situation like that. What are you going to do? You're going to start, you're going to start placing it in the context of where you're from, and therefore you're responsible. I mean, what does that matter? Everyone's basically from the greater Vancouver area.
Well, Matt, thank you for spending a few minutes with us this afternoon, and we're all looking forward to the show at Burton Cummings Theatre on Monday. Enjoy your day off. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you, man.
All the interviews you want on iTunes and at Power97.com. Casey's Audio Vault.
Casey Norman is Power 97's music director and can be heard every weekday from 2 till 6 in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada.
Power 97 is Winnipeg's best rock.